Alexander the Great is perhaps one of the most famous men in history. Even people who know nothing about history have heard his name, but why is he so famous? What made him stand out amongst all the men of his time? And why do many even today worship this man, WH, who died 2000 years ago? Most people would say his empire was a reason, at its greatest extent. It stretched from Greece to India, but there were many other Greek rulers before and after Alexander who had equally large empires. So it wasn't his empire that made Alexander stand out. It was something else, something that made him truly unique. When you look at his appearance, there's nothing particularly striking about it. He wasn't particularly tall or handsome. In fact, according to some accounts, he looked more like a short, fat, ugly man. Despite this, people made statues of him and put them in public places. Why? Because they wanted to make him look larger than life. They wanted their kids to look up to him and be inspired by him. That's how great Alexander the Great was. He was born with a strong sense of curiosity. Right from when he was a child, he would ask his mother, Queen Olympias, to get him books from far-off lands. His room was filled with books from all over the known world. This made him wise beyond his years. By the time he was 13, he was already reading the Iliad and the Odyssey more than 100 times. No wonder grew up to be the greatest storyteller of all time. The stories about his adventures inspired millions of people. To this day, his story is told in dozens of books and movies. Unlike the kings of his time, Alexander didn't just sit on his throne and rule. He wanted to see the world for himself. He didn't live in a palace. Instead, he lived in a tent. While the kings caroused with women, Alexander spent his time with his soldiers, learning their skills and training with them. He was the first king we know of WH who talked to his soldiers and treated them like human beings rather than expendable pawns. That's why even today, men look up to him. He was one of the greatest warriors who ever lived. He led his army to victory in more than 20 major battles. Many of these battles were against much larger armies, but Alexander didn't care about odds. The Once said, "A large army is no match for a general of genius," and he proved it. After conquering the known world, Alexander didn't stop. He wanted to conquer the unknown as well. So he set sail for Africa, where he discovered the source of the Nile River. Then he went to India, where he defeated King Porus. It took Alexander 10 years to conquer the world. He visited more countries than anyone before or since. Alexander the Great was a true inspiration to the men of his time and the men of today. It showed us that greatness doesn't come from wealth or power, but from within. This is 1 minute. See you next time.